Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Powering Avatars, Holograms, and the Next Generation of Healthcare. Appreciate you taking the time to join us. My name is Bradley Metrock. I'm CEO of Project Voice, General Partner of Project Voice Capital Partners, and excited to be doing whatever it is I'm going to be doing on this webinar, really facilitating it, starting it and getting the heck out of the way. Really excited to be hearing from Michelle Collins of Codebaby and Rafi from Proto, who I'm going to call up in just a moment to kick us off, and they'll explain what their companies do and what they've done together and show a demo that I think will be really valuable. It's rare for me to be able to sit back and just kind of watch, so I'm excited about that. A couple of points of order for the webinar. First of all, everybody who's registered will receive the audio and video files of the webinar after it's over. So if you miss part of it, if you want to rewatch part of it, you'll be able to do that with no problem, and to share it with other people as well. If you have questions for the presenters, you're welcome to ask that using the Q&A function of Zoom as opposed to the chat. I would recommend using the Q&A. There's not going to be a lot of time, so they may not get answered, but if you have a question, that's where you should put it. And certainly the information will be provided where you can follow up with the presenters after it's over. So with that being said, I'm going to find Michelle and promote her to panelist here. And then Rafi from Proto, let me promote him. I can click on that. Michelle, how are you? And you're on mute.
Yep. Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Doing fine, doing fine. Rafi, how are you?
Well, thank you for having us. Really excited to talk to you all.
Yes. If you heard my my preamble, I'm excited to just sit back and watch what y'all are doing and learn something, which is nice. So who should I make host?
I can. I have the presentation on my machine here.
Okay, so Michelle, I'm going to make you host.
Okay.
And appreciate both of y'all. I'm going on mute. Take it away.
Okay, feel free though, if there are any questions throughout, to go ahead and ask, and then let me just make sure that it's going to let me, hopefully it'll let me share my audio here. So if you can't hear me, let me know, because we're playing through the videos. So I'm going to share.
And I won't go on mute till I see the okay. Slides. There we go.
Excellent.
Perfect. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I am Michelle Collins. We're going to get introductions here. I am the Director of Operations and Product Management for Codebaby. We produce 3D avatars powered by conversational AI. So the character that you're seeing on screen here is one of them that we do. We like to say that our avatars are emotionally intelligent. We have the ability to add gestures and add facial expressions that are relevant to the content and to controlling that content throughout. So you don't just necessarily have a very static or just, small movements of a character. We really try to make these as human and as empathetic as possible. Throw it over to Rafi.
Hey, thanks. I'm Rafi Krishak. I'm the principal product architect for Proto Hologram. We are a spatial computing, wearable-free platform company specializing in holographic display technology, crossing over to other technologies. Our typical modality up until very recently were pre-recorded holograms and live communications from anywhere in the world. Present yourself as a hologram and communicate with people in real time. And now we're really excited to bring our sense of volumetric presence to the modality of holographic avatars. Now with the accessibility of LLMs, we can now bring an entirely new experience to the sense of presence you get with a 3D hologram. And we're excited to partner with Codebaby on that.
Excellent. And we've been partnering since, I'd say, probably March. And I think one of the things that we want to emphasize is we're really excited about everything that we've done so far. And this is early days of this partnership so far as well. Somebody had asked me about the world of LLMs and conversational AI, and I'm sure anybody on this webinar gets this question often, is where do you think we'll be in 5 years? And I said, I think it'll be malpractice for me to say where I think we would be in 5 years, because none of us knows. So it's early days, but we're excited to show what we've got here today. We are showing items in medical vertical right now, but we have capabilities of working really in any vertical where communication, where conversational AI, whether it's in a structured NLU or if it's a large language model, where any of those make sense. And then with our partnership with Proto, of really being able to deliver on our own end with web, but being able to deliver out in the world in ways that are only just beginning to come to light right now of some of the opportunities. So I mentioned at the outset, one of the things that we really work on doing is humanizing UI. And of people that we talk to that want to add AI to their business, especially before the advent of ChatGPT, where it sort of started to enter everybody's lexicon, was, I know I should do this for my business, but there's 2 problems. It's difficult and it's creepy. So we try to take care of both of those, making it really simple to incorporate conversational AI into our characters. Typically, there's 1 line of code. In the Proto environment, there's an app that you subscribe to. So it makes it really simple to have access to these conversations. And we try to take away the creepy aspect by really trying to humanize these characters, by creating empathy, by having gestures that you can control, by having intonation of voice that are supportive, to really go from what we see as the possibility of text-based LLMs to making them something that's so much more tangible.
Yeah. And I think that, yeah, just to add to that, I think what we pride ourselves on is now taking that to the next level of personification, right? That we speak to the empathy and the lack of creepiness between interacting with humans and avatars. Well, having that sense of physicality when physicality doesn't exist is really important and kind of a pinnacle of what we at Proto do. So now we take the interaction to the next level of personification as opposed to text input.
And I think with the Proto devices, and Rafi, you can mention more about this, of how they're uniquely positioned specifically for healthcare. And I've got some stats, but I'm sure everybody on here is probably pretty aware of the shortage of care practitioners, from doctors to physician's assistants to in-home healthcare workers. And these tools, Rafi, if you want to mention like how really deployed.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the medical space and the healthcare space now, and we're solving a lot of problems. Specifically, I mean, we're going to show a few use case examples, but it's really just scratching the surface even within this vertical. We're helping challenges in personnel shortages. We're helping in challenges of risk assessment, risk mitigation by not exposing people, so all of those things and more, especially within education, having a product expert or a specialist be able to evangelize or educate without actually having to be there. Well, now we can impart intelligence in a conversational way to an avatar to do the same.
So then with the chronic care and long-term support, just one of the examples that you'll see here today is, I'm sorry, my Zoom screen is covering up here, the ongoing challenge of maintaining those personalized care for chronic conditions. Again, there's a huge shortage of care workers. Being able to make sure that somebody's available, or oftentimes if somebody's available in the middle of the night, or if there are problems or challenges that people are facing, kind of the always availability, the 24-hour availability, and the ability for us to program memory into these to make sure that the consistency of care is based on the individual and is available at any time that they or family members in a care support situation would need it.
And yeah, and this is another place where presence really counts for a lot, right? I mean, if you're in a situation requiring long-term care, particularly with people that are alone, elderly, people that don't have access to personal care on an ongoing basis, having someone with presence and a bit of a personality as opposed to a cold recitation of facts and figures can really go a long way to improving the well-being of the patient.
With the introduction of LLMs too, is, we can make sure that the applications that we're developing are on task for, let's say, collecting vital information, which you'll see, but are also there for open-ended questions or just for companionship. So if somebody wakes up in the middle of the night and they're scared just because of a condition, or, a family member needs help because somebody's struggling in the middle of the night, having a character that's there, having a support avatar that's there can really help extend what physicians can provide and provide comfort throughout for everybody in the care situation. So we're going to take you through a few scenarios, as we mentioned here, kind of a day in the life, where 3 of these situations would be clinical and 1 of them is at home. And for the most part, we're going to play these through so you can see the interactions that we have pre-taped for you. We are more than happy to also, after this, connect with anybody for to set up if you want individual demos or conversations with any of these. So, oops, let's see. Rafi, if you explain our patient check-in orientation here.
Sure. So just by way of context, all of the demos you're seeing are on our Proto M device, which is the tabletop version. We have a life-size version, tabletop version of a holographic display powered by our Proto OS holographic first spatial computing platform. The character you're seeing is kind of a generic doctor character. It's kind of early days of the interaction connecting the doctor to the LLM. We have the ability to tweak personality, but this is kind of a baseline functional test you'll see in different use cases. Patient check-in is probably an obvious administrative savings. That is to say, the process of checking someone in for an appointment, how do we save that time, that personnel, and mitigate risk from potentially exposing office personnel to disease? So let's take it away.
Go ahead. Let me know, Bradley or Rafi, if my audio doesn't play through here.
Hi.
Hello. It's wonderful to see you. May I know your full name?
My name is Nick Curry.
Nice to meet you. Nick, could you please provide me your date of birth?
It's December 27th.
Thank you for sharing. Could I ask you to provide your insurance information next?
I have Proto insurance.
Great. Now, for everyone's safety, could you please answer the following COVID-19 screening question? Have you experienced any unusual coughing or difficulty breathing in the past 48 hours?
No.
Thank you for your response. Here's the second question. Have you recently had close contact with anyone diagnosed with COVID-19?
Not that I know of.
I appreciate your response. Our last screening question. Have you experienced a loss of taste or smell within the past few days?
No.
I'm glad to hear that. Now you're all set. Please proceed to the waiting room on your right, and your doctor will be with you shortly. Have a pleasant day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. If you need any further assistance, do not hesitate to ask. Have a great appointment.
So something interesting to note here, this is obviously a very, very basic use case on kind of track of a pretty much a conversation that goes the same way each time. You'll see versions where you go off-piste a little bit, but it's also important to note that this is a very robust application. That is to say, we can integrate with back-end systems, whether it's patient records or biometrics, tool sets that are kind of already connected within the healthcare space. And the avatar will be able to leverage that data in useful ways. So just kind of keep that in mind, that this is a disconnected kind of example, but all of those capabilities are available now.
I also saw there was a question whether we can do custom voices for these avatars. Currently, out of the box, we've got Amazon Poly and Microsoft Azure voices, but we do have an integration with a company that we'll be announcing soon that can do customized voices. Okay, so we're on to patient education and consent now. Just kind of starting this one off. We've got a situation where somebody's coming in to learn about a condition. They're about to have a mole removed. And so the patient may have some questions, but we really want to make sure that they understand the procedure and they get consent. And we've set up this avatar to go ahead and host this scenario.
Hello.
Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. Could you please tell me your first name?
My name is Nick.
Hello, Nick. Thank you for sharing that with me. Before we proceed, I would like to ask some questions about your health history. This will help me guide you in the best possible manner regarding your upcoming procedure. Do you have any known allergies, specifically to anesthetics?
Nope, no allergies that I know of.
Great. Nick, thanks for confirming that. It's important to know in case we need to use anesthetics during your procedure. Now, let's discuss your upcoming mole removal. The first step involves cleaning the skin over and around the mole. After that, a local anesthetic will be applied to numb the area so you won't feel any pain. Do you understand so far?
Yeah, why do I have to get it removed though?
Removing a mole can be important for a couple of reasons. Nick, if a mole changes in shape, color, or size, it could be a sign of skin cancer, and removing and analyzing the mole can either confirm or rule out this diagnosis. A mole might also be removed for cosmetic reasons if it's in a visible area and the patient wishes to have it removed. It's really about ensuring your overall health and comfort. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for explaining to me.
You're welcome. Nick, I'm glad I could help. Once the mole has been numbed with the local anesthetic, a small scalpel will be used to cut around and beneath the mole. This is done so that a small amount of the skin tissue surrounding it can also be examined to make sure any signs of disease have not spread. Do you follow?
Yeah, I do.
Excellent. Nick, after the mole and the surrounding tissue are removed, the wound will be closed with stitches if needed. The tissue will be sent to a lab for microscopic examination to check for any signs of cancer. The procedure is pretty straightforward. However, it's crucial that you protect the area from the sun after the removal, as it can be sensitive and more susceptible to sun damage. Follow-up visits are also important to monitor the healing process and remove stitches if they were used. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, sounds great.
I'm glad to hear that. Nick, your understanding and cooperation are key to the success of this procedure. With your consent, we will proceed with the mole removal in a controlled and safe environment, ensuring your comfort throughout. Do you consent to the procedure as we've discussed it?
Yeah, I do consent.
I'm sorry. Nick, I didn't quite get that. We need to know if you give your consent to the procedure. Can you please confirm if you agree to the mole removal procedure as we discussed it?
Yeah, I do consent.
Fantastic. Nick, thank you for providing your consent. We're now ready to proceed with the mole removal process. Rest assured, our team will be doing their absolute best to ensure a successful procedure and a quick and effective recovery for you. If at any point you have more questions or concerns, do not hesitate to ask. It's our job to support you throughout this journey.
Great. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, so a couple notes on that. So as background for each of these examples, our guinea pig Nick was just told to say hello. Started off, say hello, and be taken through naturally the conversation guided by the avatar. So he's had no preparation, does not have pre-canned questions to ask. And what you'll see, notable in this one, I think he interrupted by saying, "Why do I need to get it removed?" Well, that was a great example of how the AI kicked in and decided to explain on a high level, but probably a sufficient level to some degree, why he needs to have that done, and integrated it into the flow of the task. And then at the end, we also kind of wanted to show that it wasn't a perfect conversation. It didn't sufficiently hear the confirmation of consent. And in some ways that's intentional, right? We wanted to have extra confirmation for something super important. The device itself has a camera in addition to the microphones. It could capture the consent for future record keeping as well. So a lot of deep capability that you see kind of going off piece for a second. And every time she confirmed his understanding, he could have dived even deeper if he wanted to.
We've got our chronic management and care follow-up here. You want to set this one up, Rafi?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we've got this, and then this is an imagined situation where an individual would have a Proto device in their home, consistent with the Proto mission of trying to make us or have us forget a world before we had these devices. So this is there to make sure to check in on a regular basis that the patient is following through with their care and providing information or providing an easier way for them to record things like vitals. We do mention in here that there's a way to be able to connect third-party devices as well. We can talk to that, or we can talk to individuals separately about that, but she does reference being able to write information in this one to a patient portal.
Hi.
Hello. It's great to connect with you. How are you feeling today?
My stomach is a little upset.
I'm sorry to hear that your stomach is troubling you. Sometimes medications or diet changes can lead to a bit of stomach upset. Please keep monitoring this symptom and make sure to stay well hydrated. Could we please move on to vital stats? Could you share your current blood pressure readings with me?
They're currently 130/80.
Great. Thank you for providing that information. A blood pressure of 130/80 is considered to be within the high end of the normal range. I am adding these details to your patient portal. Now, can you share your current oxygen saturation level or O2 stats with me?
They're at 93%.
Thank you. An oxygen saturation O2 level of 93% is within the acceptable range for a patient with COPD, though it's a bit on the lower end. Please remember to keep your rescue inhaler handy and rest if you're feeling short of breath. I am updating these details in your patient portal. Could you now please share your current pulse rate?
It's at 74.
Excellent. A pulse rate of 74 falls within the normal range. This tells us your heart is beating at a normal rate. I'm updating this in your patient portal now. Could you tell me if you have had to use your rescue inhaler today?
I did not have to use it today.
That's good to hear. Not needing to use your rescue inhaler indicates stable respiratory symptoms for today. I'm adding this to your patient portal. Let's take a moment to review your personalized care instructions and medication plan together. It's important to continue your recommended medications, eat a balanced diet, stay hydrated, and involve in daily physical activity as tolerated. If you use wireless home health devices, these can be easily integrated with your care portal to provide real-time updates to your team. Finally, you should schedule your next follow-up appointment, preferably in November 2023. You can do this through your care portal under the Appointments tab. Are these instructions clear? Please let me know if you have any questions.
No, I don't have any questions.
That's great to hear. Remember, you're doing a fantastic job managing your COPD. I'm here anytime you have questions or need support. Don't hesitate to reach out via your care portal if you need anything. Keep up the good work and take care.
Okay, thank you. It was nice talking to you.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure talking to you too. Remember, I'm here to help anytime you need. Take care and have a wonderful day.
Oops. Okay. So we've got some examples there, I think, at the end of really how, she can be a cheerleader. She can contextualize the information that she's gathered and be able to tell somebody whether they're on track and congratulate them, or softly and kindly guide them back on track if they need some additional help. Just one of the ways that having that kind of this consistent presence is a way to kind of keep people on the regimen and keep people communicating.
And of course, integrating IoT devices that are readily available today just eliminates that whole data entry conversation in the beginning, could jump right into the caretaking.
Exactly. And then we've got one final one here, and I know we are running pretty short on time, so I'm going to show just a little bit of this one, but I think it's important to kind of understand how this can be used for clinicians as well in a training or e-learning type of role, and she can be used for role playing. So I'll play about 2 or 3 minutes of this and then we'll wrap up.
Hi.
Hello. Today, we're going to work on effective communication strategies with patients, particularly those who may be nonverbal or speak a different language. As a healthcare professional, what do you think are some challenges that come with communicating with these patients?
I'd say it can be difficult to diagnose what's wrong.
That's a valid point. A good rapport and clear understanding between a caregiver and a patient are crucial when making diagnoses. If a patient can't verbalize or explain their problems clearly due to a language barrier or other communication issues, the diagnosis process can indeed be tough. Let's first discuss communication with nonverbal patients. Nonverbal patients include those who may not be able to speak due to a medical condition or disability. For example, they could have had a stroke or have a condition such as ALS. What are some ways you think you could effectively communicate with a nonverbal patient?
I'd say using pictures or diagrams.
Excellent. Visual aids are an excellent resource for communication. Picture boards, writing, drawing, and even touchscreen technology can facilitate communication with nonverbal patients. Another option could be using gesture-based communication. This includes things like nodding yes or no, blinking, and other physical signals. Let's move on to another scenario. Say you're trying to communicate with a patient who speaks a language you don't. What strategies would you use to communicate effectively with them in such a situation?
Maybe pointing to different areas and seeing if that's where the problem is.
Good approach. Body language and gestures can help to a certain extent. However, it might not always help relay complex information. Any other ideas? Another possibility could be using translation apps or getting assistance from a professional interpreter. How do you feel about these options?
I think those options would be really helpful. I'll definitely try to use them.
So we'll pause there. And Rafi, I know you had an observation about how she's kind of teaching there.
Yeah, I think this is a great example because of the potential for open-endedness in the human responses to the conversation. And I think that it's imparting sympathy is really interesting, right? If he says something that's frankly a stupid response, she's going to kind of gently guide you back on track like a real educator would. And I think that interaction is key.
So we've got a couple quickly other features, enhancing the patient communications, multilingual support is possible, tailoring communication to patients' education levels and cultural backgrounds, and then using those feedback loops and the reporting information to continually improve the process and the content that's available. And there's also data-driven insights. We take HIPAA very, very seriously, so HIPAA secured, but you can make analysis of these interactions to better understand and better improve any of the data that's going to build the conversations or to guide folks and to create kind of these whole processes. And then, of course, ethical consideration, data handling, privacy consent. Again, we take HIPAA and all associated rules and regulations very seriously and do not store any personally identifying information in these conversations.
Yeah, and all Proto devices are SOC 2 compliant in addition. So we all take data very, very seriously indeed.
So I think we hit right on our 11:30 or 11:30 Central. We'd love the opportunity to discuss the new challenges that your organization is facing, whether they're in healthcare or not, and how we could potentially use these technologies to solve them in innovative, efficient, and compassionate ways.
Yeah, and we're here if you need to talk to us about healthcare verticals or custom avatars for your enterprise tailored to your conversations. Codebaby and Proto will be able to facilitate, and excited to.
Yep.
That's fantastic. A lot of fascinating stuff in there, and I can speak from experience as someone who's been on the receiving end of healthcare a time or two, that there's been two specific times where I've walked into a medical facility to have a procedure done, and there's been wrong information about what's supposed to be happening to me. So in addition to all the fascinating stuff you present, just from an accuracy and data capture standpoint alone, it's exciting because the nurse, she's trying, he's trying, but might be a lot on their mind, overworked, etc. Easing the load, I think, is a beautiful thing. Michelle, Rafi, thank you for the time and for walking us through all that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
We
having
really
us.
appreciate the opportunity to talk to all of you.
You got it. So for everybody who's registered for the webinar, you'll receive the audio and video files soon to come, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Until next time.
Right.